name is Tim Verity. I live in Granite City, Illinois. I served in Vietnam through almost all of 1966 into 1967. Well, when I returned home, I guess I had a different perspective of the way life was. Sometimes you think in this country, a lot of people think we have it so bad. And when you go to other countries, you see the difference of how good we actually have it here. Unbelievable, I'm telling you, just things we have to eat, something so basic. Some of those people from day to day, they're looking for something to eat. They don't have stores like we have. So it's a lot of people need to go to some of these other countries. They need to go to some of the poorer countries and see how things are. After the war, when I came home and everything, I think for the most part, I didn't have a lot of problems adjusting, because my family was they knew what I went through, and I just wanted to get on with my life. I wanted to get married, met Karen, and got married and had two great kids. When my cousin worked for the government at the Mark Building in St. Louis, and Karen's cousin Rayetta, she saw a picture of me that Sharon had, my cousin, and she said, "Well, I wonder, you think he would mind if I wrote him?" And Sharon said, "Oh, I don't think it would bother him." So she would write me, and back and forth. And when I came home on leave, I thought, well, I'll call her and take her out. Yeah, she wrote me while I was in Vietnam. And so anyway, when I came home on leave, I decided to take Rayetta out. And for some reason, her and I just didn't click. But I met Karen that night. And then I went back to where I was stationed at, off of leave. When I got home, I thought, who do I know that I've been gone 3.5 years? I don't know anybody anymore where they're at. I thought, oh, that Karen girl. I think I'll call her. Well, I called her, and first time I called her, asked her out, she said no. And I waited about 2 weeks, and I thought, I'm gonna give her a call again. So I gave her a call again, and she said, yeah, well, I've been married 58 years, so long time. I don't really think there's any emotional challenges of being a veteran. It's just that I'm very proud that I served in the Marine Corps. I probably would have actually re-enlisted if it wouldn't have been for the fact that the war was starting to ramp up quite a bit more, and I thought, I've been there once, I don't want to go back. So I just thought, yeah, I'll get out and let somebody else go. I would imagine the thing that affects me the most about being there was the first time I saw guys that didn't make it. You're sitting there looking at them and you're thinking they're young, their life is ended. What do their parents think? Their girlfriend, if they had any. Their life is ended, where, mine's going on, and hopefully it was going to go on a little more after I saw it, but I can't ever say that I got used to seeing that, because I didn't. I didn't like seeing it, but if anything, that was probably the most emotional thing that I, still think about. I don't think about it all the time. Occasionally something will remind you. You might see something on TV, or it'll remind you, and I wouldn't think you were human if it didn't affect you. I don't think I was ever what you would call lonely. I mean, there's times I think everybody gets depressed about something, but I don't think the war actually caused me to be depressed. There's other things in your life. I got laid off a couple of times from jobs, and when you're starting a family, and the war, actually, no, I can't say that. I don't think the war would have changed the way I treated my children, because I was raised in a pretty strict household. My mother and father, they kept the thumb on us pretty good on things that we could do and not do. And I tried to emulate my parents. I thought they did a good job. You know, at the time when you're a teenager, especially with my dad, I just thought, man, he's so mean. You know, he wouldn't let me do this, he wouldn't let me do that. And but when I look back at it, I'm glad he was the way he was. I didn't get in any kind of trouble. I wanted to go in the Marine Corps when I got out of high school, and which I did 6 days after I graduated, and I learned an awful lot in the Marines. I mean, discipline, I think, was number one. There's a movie called Full Metal Jacket, and it's naturally it's about the Marines. So the boot camp part of it was right on. I mean, they cursed at you, they hit you when they wanted to. They can't do that anymore. But back when I went in 1963, you know, there was nothing that they couldn't do to you, and that part was really good. But then when they went to Vietnam, I thought it was kind of hokey. All in all, I thought it was a pretty good movie, and I related more because I was in the Marines. First time I saw guys that didn't make it, it was pretty difficult talking about that. Emotionally, I think all kids should be exposed to what war is, what what it involves, the people that suffer. You know, it's just not the actual soldier, Marine, sailor, or whatever. It's their families. Their families suffer badly. You know, I mean, can you imagine raising a child? You know, a boy, well, and now even girls, but especially a boy, for so many years, 17, 18, 19 years, and then all of a sudden he's lost to war. Well, I don't think talking to them when they're real young, because they don't really understand yet. But I think when they become, 13, 14 years old, something like that, you should start talking to them. Tell them, show them pictures that you have, relate things that you saw happen. And maybe it'll sink in, and I think it will. Most kids are pretty intelligent. You know, they're not stupid. And I think if you start talking to them and try to tell them, hey, just understand it, and what you might have to go through. I've tried to talk to my grandkids as much as the older ones, as much as I can. I show them things that I have, and you can tell they're like, yeah, I understand it a little, but yet I don't, So I'm right now I'm trying to talk to my oldest great grandson. He's 15, and I don't think he's college material, and I would like to see him like go in the Air Force or something like that, and get some kind of training that he can use on the outside when he gets out. And whether I'm getting through to him, I don't know. I think I am, but well, returning as early from Vietnam as I did, financially, back in the day when I got out in 1966, people weren't making money the way they are today. But if you didn't like what you were doing when you got your first job, and you didn't like what you were doing, you could practically go to the next company over and get a job. There were so many jobs available because of the war that you financially, I think most people back then did pretty well, yeah, for the time, But nobody, you weren't making. I think I was making when I started. I went to a drafting school at McDonnell Aircraft at that time, and I think I was making $1.69 an hour. I think that was 1966, and that wasn't even money. Even back then, that wasn't really good money. But when I got out of the school and everything, I started making a little better. But it wasn't that much better. The war didn't affect my financial stability or anything after it. Things actually perked up pretty good after when the war started, because there were so many companies that were producing things for the war that there were all kind of jobs, and And if you didn't take advantage of them, that was your problem. You just didn't, either you didn't want to work, or, you know. And let's face it, there are a lot of people out there that don't want to work. They figure that if some, you know, the government or whatever's going to give them something, why should I work? And that's another thing. We need to get rid of that. The real benefit that I got was when I bought my house, and you know, I got help from the government when buying my house. But at the time when I bought my house in 1972, I paid $15,900 for my house. you can't hardly go to dinner anymore for that. But that's the way it was. Well, it was very, you know, it was easy to get a job, and of course everybody wants to make more money than they're making, you know. And I can't say that I was, you know, even in my later years, I can't say that I made what I thought I was worth. But you know, I can't complain at all about. I made it. I mean, I'm not a millionaire or anything like that, but you know, I've got enough where for the rest of my life, being 80 years old, that it'll last me, or it should. I probably handled it a little better. That if, you know, if I wouldn't have seen things in a war, with Mark dying, but you know, you're never prepared. I don't care what you've done, or you're never prepared to lose a child. I mean, it's the worst possible thing that could ever happen to you. And even, I think, even though I haven't lost Karen yet or anything, but I think when she passes away, I'm expecting that at her age and everything. You know, I will expect that. But at his age, at 17 years old, I wasn't prepared for that. And yeah, it did. It only took from the end of February to October 10th. In that length of time, he went downhill so fast with the cancer. And October the 10th, it will be 39 years since he passed away. And that, you know, there's not a day that you go by that you don't think of him. You know, something, you'll see something, or one of the things that gets me the most about losing him is when I see the kids that he used to hang around with, and their grandmothers and grandfathers now, and I think about how many kids he would have. I think about what he would be doing in his life, what his occupation would be, you know, things like that. And every day there's something that pops up, and some days I can handle it with no problem, and other days I'll sit there and cry like a baby, you know. And like I said, there's nothing worse than losing a child. He when he was a sophomore, he was very, very smart, very intelligent, and in his sophomore year, he got a letter from the Naval Academy, you know, asking him to think about going to the Naval Academy when he graduated from high school. I still have the letter, you know, to prove that. And like I said, he was just super smart kid. You know, he didn't take after me. But no, I think God took somebody that maybe he should have left on the earth a little bit longer. Meeting my wife, I guess, after I got out of the military, I think I was ready to settle down. At least I thought I was. And I have to admit that, you know, we have our ups and our downs, but I don't think I'd trade her for anything. There were quite a few times that I felt supported by her, especially like I had cancer surgery, and she was there for me. And like I say, there's times, you know, you've been married 58 years that you maybe want to strangle her. And I guess she feels the same about me, but no, she's always been there for me. I will say that. I never really talked about it a lot, maybe to some of my buddies, but to her or the rest of my family, I don't think I ever really talked about it. I mean, I wasn't in a lot of intense combat, but I mean, I did have experiences with combat, but not a lot. And so I really didn't have what I would consider a lot of things to tell her, you know. When I came when I came home, the first time out of boot camp, well, my mother was kind of dominating, and I would smart her back and everything. And she goes, "What the hell did they do to you?" And I imagine Karen probably thought the same thing. I don't know.